called for his sale in the summer from Manchester United. David De Gea contract, all new contract update, and then Amad Diallo firing all cylinders down into the championship for Sunderland. Welcome to United Matters channel. How are you guys? And where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. How are you guys? That has been really a minute since we last talked, guys. Not so. I think we last went live. I think on Wednesday night after United beat Brentford by 1 goal to nil. It was Marcus Rashford on target, not so. That's when we last really held a live session and we really talked to one another. And I said, as we jet into the weekend tomorrow, there is a beautiful game of football. United taking on Everton. Why not come in through and really talk to my people here onto the United Matters channel? Rock and David is my name, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. We are left with 112 subscribers to hit 12,000 subscribers. So, guys, make it a point that if at all you are watching us for the very first time and you've not yet subscribed to this channel, continue to do the job by subscribing to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. We are having a variety to cover. We are talking Scott Mctominay. We are talking David De Gea. We are talking Erik ten Hag on the performance of Marcus Rashford, throwing another hail onto the 25-year-old English passport holder, that is Marcus Rashford, and so many things of Amad Diallo and how he's really posting or piling pressure onto Erik ten Hag and to Antony, a player of Manchester United that was bought at £85 million. Amad Diallo was bought at 35 with £10 million to be paid by Manchester United. So Scott Mctominay wants out. And what does that mean? That's what we are going to be talking about here onto the United Matters channel. So let's start it off with a story coming in from Scott Mctominay, and it's been reported to us by Peter O'Rourke. Peter O'Rourke is really one of those journalists that works for the Foot Insider and is a transfer correspondent there. To me, he's like a second or third day journalist, but I think he might have had movements of Scott Mctominay wanting out of Manchester United. I know it is really one of those things that you won't go all out and think about happening at this juncture, but for my sake and no, I believe it might be having something true in it, because Scott Mctominay is a player who has always not gotten enough playing time, and when you look at his age, he would like to be firing up like other players, and he deserves to be loaned out of Manchester United to leave the club and obviously find elsewhere he's going to thrive, because this season, before Casemiro came in through, he was really getting in enough playing time. When Casemiro came in through, obviously that hit a dead end and Scott McTominay was nowhere near getting playing time. And the reason as to why he's getting playing time right now is simple. Casemiro is really suspended, but one more game left and is returning. And remember, the midfield of United is such compacted with Fred, Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno Fernandes, Donny van de Beek, Sabitzer. So we're having close to 7 or 8 players that are really so much into that midfield. And you've seen many times nowadays that even Erik ten Hag is trying to play Bruno Fernandes as a CDM, meaning that he doesn't trust Scott McTominay to do that job. And it leaves him in an open space of knowing that I'm no longer needed here. I'm no longer needed here. You know, what shows you that you're no longer needed at the club is simple. Every time you come up through and you are told that you are going to be on the bench, and secondly, you hear it out that they're looking in for another CDM to come in and play the job and get the job done. And this is where I go ahead and not believe with Samuel Lucas that United doesn't want to sell Scott McTominay. To my understanding, it's written all over the world that Scott McTominay is not an Erik ten Hag player, and Ten Hag would love to really throw him under the bus and get in a player of his own choice and a player that really matches up with what his style of playing calls in for. You saw him in the game of Newcastle. Scott McTominay was first played as a central attacking midfielder, and he had nothing to do in the entire game. After that, he was just put out and substituted, though I thought it took so long. But in the game of Brentford, he came in and put in a shift, but I was not so much convinced with his shift. Do you know why? Brentford is a team that doesn't use its midfield a lot. They don't use their midfield a lot. So that can't really see him convincing me. He's not convincing me in that game. I believe I need to see him operate better in the game of Everton and very many other games, but that chance is not going to be given to him. Do you know why? Because Casemiro is going to be returning back at Manchester United. And that means he's going to be benched and he's not going to be getting enough playing time because Ericsson is back. There is Sabitzer, meaning that he has to go past 4 players to get back into the team. Even when it's in the dying minutes, I want to keep our lead. I think Ten Hag would prefer to bring on Fred because Fred has a better intensity and he's more technically gifted than Scott McTominay. And then the only reason that can see him come at the field of play is when we are playing a team that is really so much dependent onto set pieces and those long balls. But again, with how Scott McTominay wants to play, I don't see him really wanting to keep himself at Manchester United. And all of us, we appreciate his work ethic. He's tenacious, but his technical abilities don't match with the calls of Erik Ten Hag. And to me, I see him as a player that should be sold out of Manchester United. And him calling himself to be sold is really a very brilliant call because he has no future at Manchester United. Let's all agree. Scott McTominay has no future at Manchester United. He has no future at Manchester United. You might be liking him, but his future is really unclear. Being physically fit and running around the pitch and just trying to really run around like a headless chicken doesn't get you into the Erik Ten Hag system. Ten Hag is a manager who believes in players that play what we call total football. He wants players that can really get control of that ball, pass it, and obviously be secure with it. For Scott McTominay, it's the opposite. It's the opposite because when he gets that ball, he fidgets with it around and he loses it. He cannot make a pass that can really release a center forward or release Antony or Marcus Rashford in the wide areas of the pitch. So he's a limited player. However much he loves the club, he puts in the shift, but he cannot match the standards and demands of Erik Ten Hag, and that's why he will forever be up for sale in the summer. And I think us not getting in Casemiro early enough just gave him a chance to prove more to Erik Ten Hag. But obviously, when Casemiro got himself out of his shell and he really unleashed himself at Manchester United, he became one of those players that Erik Ten Hag wants to keep. So for me, Scott McTominay, I wish him the best of luck because he doesn't deserve to be a Manchester United player. When you look at Arsenal Arsenal having Partey. Do you know the understudy of Partey is Jorginho? And if at all I'm Manchester United and you tell me that there is Jorginho up for grabs ahead of Scott McTominay for any day, I go for Jorginho, and I believe in those games that we played without Casemiro, Jorginho would have got the job done. In the game of Fulham, in the game of Newcastle, would have looked a better team if at all you had Jorginho. In the game of Brentford, would have looked a better team if at all you had Jorginho. Even the game of Everton would have looked a better team if at all we had Jorginho into our midfield. Look at Man City, Calvin Phillips, and Rodri. Rodri is the number 1 choice and Calvin Phillips is the understudy. So, Scott McTominay and Calvin Phillips, who do you take? I think you'll all go for Calvin Phillips. Look at Chelsea, N'Golo Kante, there is this other Swiss player, Zakaria, none of those does Scott McTominay fit to lace the boots. It shows you how bad we are and how we need to let Scott McTominay go. And if at all he has gone ahead to show interest that he wants to leave, that door is wide open for him to really go out. And which clubs are really interested in Scott McTominay? Newcastle and Fulham, not Fulham, Newcastle and West Ham are the 2 teams that are really interested in him, and he will go at the cost of like £30 million. And if I am Erik Ten Hag, I'll be happily grab that and obviously go in and look in for another midfielder that can act as a backup for Casemiro. That's it. So Good luck to Scott McTominay. Good, you've discovered that you need your way out of Manchester United. That's it. So let's wish him a very good spell that is left with Manchester United. If at all he's sold by the club, that will be the best decision ever made by Erik ten Hag. After Scott McTominay, let's do a little bit of David De Gea. He's one of those players that his contract is really lagging. And Shai Given, a former goalkeeper of Man City, has come out and really issued a very huge statement about this lad known as David De Gea. He said, I would extend David De Gea's contract all day and wouldn't think twice. He has been phenomenal. I understand modern keepers need to play with their feet, but their first job is to keep the ball out of their net. He was on the BBC, and that's where he went ahead to say all that. And it shows you how good goalkeepers like Shai Given understand the job. You know, the number one job of a goalkeeper is to keep the ball out of the net. Now, against Newcastle, if it's not David De Gea, would have scored like 5 or 6. Against Fulham, he kept us in the game. You know, when the game would have gone 2 goals down for Manchester United, we came up through and obviously did the needful and put in the shift. And it was David De Gea who kept us into that one goal deficit. That's it. Then Bruno equalized. Sabitzer scored the winner, and Bruno scored the 3rd goal. So recently on Wednesday, the game we played against Brentford, you saw what happened. You know, in the 75th minute of the game, he keeps us into the game by saving us from that 1v1, from that German international who really attacked him after Antony had released him. So I agree with Shai Given. The number one job for a goalkeeper is to really keep that ball outside his net. That's the number one job of any goalkeeper, of any goalkeeper. And I think for David De Gea, he's doing that perfectly. And no question, no doubt, he should be given the contract he wants. That's why Erik ten Hag yesterday came out and really lost his cool on the Glazers, because they are taking long to really give these players contracts. Remember, we're having Rashford, David De Gea, Diallo, Fred, 4 players, and Alejandro Garnacho, 5 players whose contracts are really lagging. And I think it's high time those contracts got given. With David De Gea being a priority, people have always been fronting. He's not doing good in the ball distribution, but I think it's his first season. This is something that's not been used to, and he has shown us that he's a very good student and he's trying to learn. And every game you see to it that there are passes that he makes that you usually don't come in through and really expect him to be making. So to me, on any day, I would keep David De Gea at the club of Manchester United. But the reason is the amount of money he wants. He doesn't want to get a pay cut of close to £125,000 a week as a player of Manchester United, because he believes that he's still one of the most important players on the team of Manchester United. Why should he be taken to a salary cut of £125,000 to earn £25,000 a week? Yet there are players at Manchester United earning that amount of money that don't put in a shift game in, game out. So David De Gea is furious onto that, and that's the only reason as to why he has not gone ahead to agree onto signing a new contract with Manchester United, because he believes he's a much more better player than those who are being given lots and lots of praise at the club of Manchester United. That's David De Gea for you. And I'm okay with him. I think if I know they give him £300,000 a week, he'll go ahead and really pick it in peace, because it will be okay for him to earn £300,000 a week. So that's where David De Gea is not in total agreement with the club of Manchester United, but he wants to stay. He wants to stay at the club. He wants to see himself thrive at Manchester United, and obviously doing the needful to really keep us to the levels where we want us to be. Now, he's expected to be in goal tomorrow as we take on Everton at Old Trafford in a game that we expect him to pull out lots and lots of saves. The last time we played Everton in the FA Cup, David De Gea saw the ball go past his legs, and obviously we conceded the equalizer. So this time around, I think he's going to be on high alert. And remember, he's 1 clean sheet away from leveling with Nick Pope. Nick Pope has kept 13 clean sheets, for for Newcastle. David De Gea has kept 15, has kept 12. So if at all he keeps a clean sheet tomorrow, as we take on Everton, we would have gone ahead to extend his number of clean sheets to 13, meaning that he will be really into the conversation to win the Golden Glove. And I think he is in that conversation. He's going to keep very many clean sheets if at all Casemiro returns, because there is the shield that Casemiro gives to the club of Manchester United each and every time he's playing at the best of the midfield. And we are so much happy to have him at the club of Manchester United. That is Casemiro. So smash the like button, comment and share. If at all you're watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. I'm saying my shout outs to Ochila Caesar. Thank you for watching in, and I'm going to respond to your question anytime from now. And that question of yours is in line with my third story of the night. It's all about Amad Diallo. Today, Amad Diallo played against Hull City. The game ended 4-4, and he scored 2 goals. That is Amad Diallo, and obviously he put in a shift that all of us thought that was so much important. And this was his game by numbers: 63 balloons hit, 88 successful passes, 100% successful dribbles, 5 grand duels won, 9 out of 12. So that means 2 interceptions, 5 ball recoveries. He created 3 chances and scored how many goals? 2 goals. Guys, that is an immense performance coming in from a 20-year-old that ended signed from Atalanta and is really firing all cylinders. I'm telling you, he's firing all cylinders. And him firing all these cylinders, he piles more pressure onto Scott McTominay and to the manager of Manchester United. Not Scott McTominay, it's Antony. He's applying more pressure onto Manchester United manager, that is Erik ten Hag, who has always gone ahead to really not believe in him, and he sent him onto the loan and brought in his own, known as Antony. If at all you've been seeing Amad Diallo in the championship, he would have been one of those players that you would love to really keep at the club of Manchester United, because he had a lot of things to offer for the club of Manchester United. Even when in the preseason you saw him that he can play as a central attacking midfielder, he can play as a center forward or a false 9, he can play wide left, he can play wide right, and the manager decided to bring in Antony, his own, because he believed in him a lot. But I think Amad Diallo has gone ahead to really go ahead and really diminishify all the odds. You know, he's really one of those that has gone ahead to defy all the odds that he was not fit to play at Manchester United. He's playing the championship, and Erik ten Hag is 100% ready to really usher him back at the club of Manchester United. That's where we go to the talk of Oscilla. Caesar Rokani, I'm really worried about Antony. He's not that lightening up faster. I understand your reason for being worried, but you know, there are players that act better when pressure emerges. You know, no one is really piling pressure onto Antony. That's it. But wait in the summer, pre-season, when Amad Diallo is back, because that form that Amad Diallo is really showcasing at Sunderland brings him back exactly into the Manchester United squad. One will say that United might be willing to go in and really get in Mohamed Kudus. The board won't sanction that. Even Erik ten Hag will look naive to bring in Mohamed Kudus. Yet there is a player who is really 20 years of age. You know, he has proved in the championship, and he needs to come into your team and really prove. Give him a chance. And one thing I've seen about Erik ten Hag is that he's giving players chances. Look at Facundo Pellistri. You know, having felt bad for United not selling him in the summer, and obviously in the January transfer window, he's been given his chances. He has taken them, and he has impressed Erik ten Hag. And I believe if at all Amad Diallo returns, he's going to be given chances. And I believe he's not going to really disappoint. He's going to put more pressure onto Antony, and he's going to be tearing it up and firing all cylinders like he has been in the championship. Obviously, he'll give Erik ten Hag a reason to really keep him at the club of Manchester United. And I really know that's going to be the most important bit of the season. And we are having players that are returning from the loan spells they've been had away from Manchester United. And the most notable one is is Amad Diallo. And if at all Amad Diallo comes in through, he's really going to be one of those players that is going to give Erik ten Hag headache. You know, he's going to put more pressure onto Antony, and I think the way he plays, he's a better player than Antony. That's it. I'm sorry to say, but Amad Diallo is a better player than Antony. The way he risks, if at all you've watched the game of football today, that fourth goal they score, you know, was it the fourth? I think it was the third goal they score. Amad Diallo found himself in a position of really, I think it was the fourth, maybe. It was the fourth, yeah, the fourth goal they score. Amad Diallo got the ball from the wide right half space. Then he never went wide. He just continued to run diagonally towards the D of the goal of Hull, and then he released the player that really did an assist for Sunderland to go ahead, though in the 95th minute, they got a foul in the penalty and they leveled that game of football, but they would have gone ahead to secure more 3 points into their game. But I believe when you look at how Diallo plays, he's a more direct player than Antony. That's it. You know, Antony breaks play every time he takes on a player and he has an advantage over him to really go to his box, and then he breaks back and then goes in for a negative pass. I don't call in for such plays for me. I don't call in for such plays. And I think Amad Diallo is going to really put a lot of pressure onto Antony, and Erik ten Hag is going to be having a very huge headache because Antony looks like he's not firing all cylinders at Manchester United. I mean, it's him having 7 goals and 1 or 2 assists. I'm not yet convinced. Though I see a player in him, but he needs to be more direct. And Amad Diallo is orchestrating exactly what we want Antony to be doing at Manchester United down at Sunderland. I'm having Okuni bin Jamil. Good evening, bro Rokani. How are you on show? How are you on Luke Shaw? I'm really enjoying your YouTube. To me, I would like Bruno to play in his role instead. Double pivot. Sabitzer and Freddy will get it done and dusted. I understand your call, but for Bruno Fernandes to be playing into that role, it's simple because Sabitzer can play that role better than Bruno Fernandes, but he's not so much used to the Premier League. That's why the manager opted to play him as a central attack midfielder. But with the return of Casemiro and Eriksen, you know, that shows you that Bruno is not going to be played into that role anymore. He's going to be played into his role. So we expect tomorrow when you're playing Everton, Bruno is going to be played alongside Scott McTominay, and Sabitzer is going to be played ahead of them. Then Eriksen will get a nod into that game. That's it. He'll get a nod into that game. But that is going to end in the game of Everton. With effect from Thursday, Eriksen, Casemiro back into the double pivot, Bruno Fernandes back into the central attacking midfield role. That's it. So don't be worried, Mr. Bin Jamil. Don't be worried about that. It was just an emergency that we experienced at Manchester United because Casemiro was suspended, and he couldn't really see himself really play 4 games. And his last ban is going to be served in the game of Everton, a game that's going to be played at Old Trafford, a game that I expect us to win. That's it. I expect us to win that game of football because we are into a perfect shape of really winning it. I'm having D King FF. Kudos is an attacking midfielder. Yeah, he is, but he plays all the positions of the attack midfield plus the center forward. He can play well as a false number 9. So he can play as a right attacking midfielder. He can play as a central attacking midfielder. He can play as a left attacking midfielder. Whichever position you give him that is so all about attacking, Kudos can give you everything, like you see Amad Diallo is offering. Then I'm having Moses Oyika. What's going on about the takeover? Any news, bro? I'm tired of the Glazers. I understand your pain. It's the same thing I'm really going in through here. But I'm worried that even today, we haven't gotten an update from the takeover. That is so much worrying. What are the Glazers all about? You know, I'm really pissed because the transfer window is really coming to a start almost. When you look at Jude Bellingham, he's one of those players that Erik ten Hag is interested in signing, but we've been told that his decision is going to be imminent, meaning that he's deciding very soon to which club he's going into. Now, you never know. We would have gone ahead to convince him to come to Manchester United, but we are not into the perfect position to know which style, which owner is going to be with us, and that is really limiting our opportunities of really securing top talent. So it's really so much embarrassing. But I think if it's not later in the night today, I think next week you're really going to get a very huge update coming in from the takeover of Manchester United. And there is a question I forgot to answer about Luke Shaw coming in from Bin Jamil. Luke Shaw is out. His injury is not looking serious. The manager has promised us that they are going to really continue to assess him next week and see whether he will be back as we go ahead to play against a team known as Brighton and Nottingham Forest into the FA Cup and Premier League respectively. Now, I'm having Moses. Ahmad is a class above the ordinary young talent. I like his cut-ins to the 60 box, to the 18 box area of the opponent. He's really great. And he's that kind of player that you always want to play into your team. You know, he's an all-rounder, press resistant. His physicality is being built day in, day out. The good thing is that he's returning back at Manchester United, and Erik ten Hag will be having a very huge choice to make on him and Antony. That's it. But I believe Amad Diallo will find himself in the squad of Manchester United next season. That's it. He's one of those players that is taken as homegrown. He started playing for us at the age of 18, and that is one of the things that United should address. As Scott Mctominay, one of the homegrowns, is really leaving. We need to bring in one more homegrown to really fill that space. And it's not because of that, but because of even his give that he brings on the field of play for Manchester United. And I really believe that he's one of those people that you would always love to see at the club of Manchester United, coming in and really doing in lots of things as a player at the club of Manchester United. So to me, I'm 100% sure that Amad Diallo is really one of those players that is going to be kept in the know of Manchester United, and Erik ten Hag is going to bring him and obviously do the needful for the club of Manchester United. Now, I think Bruno is showing us his qualities of captain. He plays anywhere. He's deployed to, he's the captain of the club. He's the captain of the club. And Harry Maguire is one of those that is not given the armband because he doesn't deserve it. He's unfit. This entire season of Erik ten Hag has shown us that Harry Maguire is not fit to be the captain of Manchester United. And he won't complain that he was not given the chance. You know, he was given 2 games. Against Brighton, we lost 2-1. And against Brentford, we lost 4-0. And Erik ten Hag said, right, you don't deserve to be. So he took him off the captain armband and he gave it to Bruno Fernandes. And I know it doesn't sound well to certain people, but trust me, that's the cause of the day. And I think he is really doing the needful to keep him off the team because he doesn't deserve. And he's one of those players that now and then we've heard he wants to sell and keep out of the club of Manchester United. Then Okuni being Jamil. Yes, Rokani, if tomorrow we play as a community, we can get this match done and dusted. I think it's done. We are going to really get that done and dusted. That's it. That game has to be won at all. In any format, that game has to be won. There is no way we should lose to Everton. If at all we lose to Everton, then we won't be fit to really compete and really be into the top 4 spots of the league, because that calls for us to go on and really win that game of football. We need to win it in any format. Like we fought up against Brentford, we should be winning this one. And I think we are winning it by 3-0 or 4-1. That's it. If David De Gea keeps a clean sheet, he will have equaled the goalkeeper of Newcastle, right? Known as Nick Pope. So the Golden Glove is up for chase between Nick Pope and David De Gea, and we expect him to come in through, and obviously Daniel Fall for the club of Manchester United. So guys, thank you very much for watching. It has been nice having you on this channel. Rokan David is always my name. And guys, I love you all. From the first person who commented, who threw into the comment, that is Caesar, then Okuni, then DJ King, then Moses Oyika, then Vijura Prita. Thank you very much for keeping it United Matters channel. I promise that I'm going to really adjust on the time I do these lives. But tomorrow, as you know, we are coming in with what we call the match day live. And after the match day live, then we'll do what we call the match reaction after that Everton game. Thank you guys for watching through. I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Today is Good Friday. Jesus was crucified on the cross. And for my Muslim friends, Ramadan Kareem. Bye-bye.